8 is enough, Dick Van Patton. You've been summoned to jury duty. Actor and comedian Andy Kindler. You've been summoned to jury duty. International singing sensation Tiffany. You've been summoned to jury duty. The only court show where celebrity jurors decide the outcome of your case. Jury duty. Don't even try getting out of it.
All rise. Ladies and gentlemen, the Honorable Judge, Bruce Cutler, presides.
Sergeant, top of the day to you, Sergeant.
You too, sir.
Good to see you, jury. A nice-looking jury here.
Thank you.
Welcome to jury duty, and welcome to jury duty, everyone. Please be seated. On jury duty, the jury decides the case. If they can't, for some reason, decide, then I decide the case. That's how it works. Now, today, jurors, we have a tenant suing the landlord, which is a nice little change. Instead of the landlord always suing somebody, now we have the landlord on the receiving end. How does it feel, Miss Heriot, to be on the receiving end once in a while?
Well, this time not so good.
All right. Well, we'll see what this is about, but the tenant is suing the landlord to recover a security deposit. Here in California, apparently, I'm told, if the security deposit is withheld by the landlord wrongfully, the tenant can sue for double the amount of the security deposit. And so we have Mr. Montano, who is facile with the California law, is suing the defendant, Cathy Heriot, his landlord, for $1,440, which is double the amount of the security deposit. Ms. Heriot withheld that money for damages she claims Mr. Montano caused to her rental unit. So that's the issue. So, Nick, what do you have to say? What do you hear? What do you say?
Well, I should state the facts. On May 4th of 2006, I rented an apartment in Long Beach from Ms. Heriot. I paid a security deposit of $1,050. On March 18th, I moved out of the apartment, 2007.
So how long did you live there, Nick?
I lived just about a year.
Right.
And I actually wound up taking another apartment also in the building that was a little bit larger downstairs.
I see.
So it was, within that 1 year.
You're not going to have a great relationship with the landlord if you keep suing her.
Oh, well, that's true, true. But also at the same time, I got to protect my rights as well.
Yes, you do, and you feel you're on the side of right. So go ahead.
Now, when I did move into the unit, we did have a walkthrough, and
First or second unit?
The first unit.
All right.
The first unit. We did have a walkthrough, and this was a 1920s built building in Long Beach, and it was old. It was in good condition, but it was old.
Yes. Why are you in court, Mr. Montano?
Well,
Tell me why you're here.
I received a check. I finally received a refund deposit for $330.
And what was the original deposit?
$1,050.
So she kept 2/3 of it.
Exactly. And with that check, I didn't receive no itemized anything on that.
So how did you get the lawsuit for $1,440?
Well, I had done some research, and the law states that if the landlord doesn't return it within the 21 days...
So you times 700 by 2.
I times the 700
Now, what do you
by
have
2.
to say, Miss Heriot? They said to pronounce your name, a lovely last name, Heriot. Pronounce it Harriet.
Harriet.
Like Ozzie and Harriet.
Well,
You're too
Harriet.
young to remember that show. But our good friend Dick Van Patton remembers Ozzie and Harriet.
I was on Ozzie and Harriet.
Okay.
Last 2 seasons.
So, Miss Harriet, what do you have to say as the so-called dreaded landlord, if you will?
The dreaded landlord.
What were the damages, Miss Harriet?
Probably the most outstanding would be that there was some wood. This is an older building, so there's built-in units, like wood units there, that were painted in oil-based paint. And then when he went to clean them up, because he had marks on them and stains, he painted them in a water-based paint. So when my cleaners came in and they were wiping it down, that paint was just coming off. So it forced me to just have to do more work to it. For some reason, there was wood blinds in the living room and the dining room, and he seemed to have taken them apart. And he took the slats out, broke all of the strings so you couldn't raise or lower the blinds any longer.
Did you confront Mr. Montano
When
with
we
this?
did the walkthrough, and as we were walking through, I mentioned to him that there was so much that I really would need to bring somebody in to assess how much this was going to cost me.
You know,
but
Nick,
I did point
this
out
is
the
this
things
is an
that-
honest woman. I don't know why you just didn't
Very
say.
much
No, but I don't know why you didn't say to yourself, "All right, Miss Harriet, these are the damages, so use the money to fix it."
Well,
I mean, I don't know why you brought it to court.
Well, no, because by law, I should be allowed to repair
Yes,
things,
you
and I
should.
had addressed that, and
Yes.
he kept on saying that, it has to be professionally done, which it was never professionally done to begin
All
with.
right,
I
what
did.
about-
I
what
brought,
about
in, I,
what-
brought
no.
in a, I brought in a painter. I have proof that I have a
No,
painter.
but I wasn't going to be able to do
But
it.
you,
But she says you repaired it the wrong way.
No,
I want to get Miss
I never had
Wimer
an
up.
opportunity to repair.
I know, but I want to get Miss Wimer up.
Okay.
She says you repaired it the wrong way. I'm told that above. Nice to see you, Miss
Nice to
Wimer.
see you
You're nice.
yourself.
Are you a photographer?
I'm an amateur photographer.
You took those
I
photographs?
sure did. Would you like to see them?
I would. Would you give them to the good sergeant?
Sure.
Miss Wimer,
Yes.
what did you come here for other than to decorate the courtroom?
I came here
Which is a nice decoration, I might add.
I came here as a copywriter of those photographs.
To show that there was some damage
Yeah, and to show
when
that I
Nick
was
moved in.
Yes, and to be witness that I was there.
Nick, what do you estimate that you owe, if
I would
anything?
say $100 for the broken blinds.
Really?
Yes, my original issue is that many times I'd ask, where are my itemized receipts?
Wait.
I want to see where it is, and over the 21 days that 2 months had passed, and I
mailed
never
this
received
twice.
nothing.
I have certified letters that returned to me. That was sent out on March 9th. There's 3 delivery attempts. He never picked it
In
up.
other words, he refused the
Right,
delivery?
and then I sent it again.
In other words, you're saying you refuse. Why would Nick Montano refuse the delivery?
Exactly.
I mean, it
I
makes no
work during the
sense to
day.
me.
I work during the day.
It makes no sense to me.
Well, here it is. Here's two
All right,
certified.
so Miss Harriet, can we have them?
Yes, absolutely.
That's
Okay.
your job, though.
All right, just let's hold up now because the issue was crystallized. Now it's getting blurry, and when it gets blurry, I can't see straight. And when I can't see straight, the jurors can't see straight. We have this issue crystallized. You're suing for double the deposit. You're claiming you had to make these repairs.
Right.
You both say you're right. So let the jury decide. This is jury duty. We'll come back.
Coming up, a fight over damages and no one wants to pay. The celebrities ask who did what and why. Next on Jury Duty. Welcome back to Jury Duty, paying rent with a fistful of justice.
By way of a quick recap, we have a tenant suing his landlord. Unusual. The plaintiff, Nick Montano, is suing the defendant, Cathy Heriot, for $1,440, which is double the amount of the security deposit that he had put up for the apartment that he vacated later. Ms. Heriot withheld the money because she claims there were damages done to the apartment by Mr. Montano. That's the issue here. It's crystallized clear. I'm told to begin the introduction with a legendary actor by the name of Dick Van Patton, who just from one of his shows, 8 is Enough. I want to welcome Dick and thank you for coming and being with us here.
My pleasure.
Jury duty. You
All
want to
right.
start, Dick? And
Yes. Mrs. Harriet, what was in the letter that he didn't receive that you got back?
Oh, basically, I gave him a walkthrough, again, sort of a description of all the damages that I was assessing, and that just an explanation of what I was going to be doing in the apartment.
Now,
it's her proof that there was damage.
So-
Mr. Montano, did you avoid getting that letter?
No. The first communication that I got from Miss Heriot was dated May 18th, almost 2 months later, and basically saying that I sent you a packet on May 9th. I never received it. I mean, I work 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. So if the post office came during the day, no one's going to be there to sign it.
What do you mean you work 9 to 5 Monday
They
through
would
Friday?
send you a notice.
What
Right.
does that mean?
I work 9 to 5, Monday
What
through
do you
Friday.
do?
I'm not at,
What do you do?
I work for the government.
Oh, that puts a whole new light on
Wait a
things.
second. Let me
That puts a whole new light on things. But go ahead. I don't want to interfere.
But don't they, when you're not home, don't they send you a notice saying that there's something waiting for you at the post office?
Yes, because on my letters that I gave the judge, it says 3 delivery attempts. I gave him 3 dates.
Don't they leave a card sometimes that they try to?
Yes.
I never received any card.
Well, you work for the government, so why should we believe
Well, I
you?
work for the government. I don't work for the post office.
Well, that's true, too.
And I sent a letter on April 2nd also that he said he's not receiving, so.
Exactly.
Well,
Now,
Mr. Montano, may I call you Mr. Montano?
Yes.
How about Nick?
Even better.
Nikki? Not so much?
I don't know about that.
By the way, I just want to let everybody know that Celebrity Juror number 3 was my first stage name. But I want to say to you a couple of things. First of all, there were wood blinds in the apartment and when you moved in, correct? Or as you say, faux wood blinds?
Yes.
And they were in working order?
Yes, they were.
Well, I wanted to thank Ms. Harry. That's the first time any apartment I've ever heard of having anything working when you move in. So what were you doing with those blinds that you screwed them up to that degree?
Well, no. I mean, I'm not arguing the replacement of those.
But
you know?
you couldn't fix them yourself. I don't mean to be pointing at you, but
No, he's
it's very
admitting. He's
effective.
admitting.
No,
he
what
owes
happened is the
$100
blinds
for
were
the
in good
blinds.
working, but a few of the ones towards the bottom were broken.
You seem to think there were more. It was more damage.
Yeah, I
And
mean.
do you have like a receipt saying this much for the blinds,
Yes,
this much for the?
it's all in the packet there, and I also have pictures here of what he did to the blinds. And you can see that he removed some of the slats, and then when he put
But
it
that's not in
back.
question, though. I admit to.
Well, I
being
mean,
responsible for the
so
blinds.
the unit
Yes.
then, it was
He's
not.
admitted that.
I couldn't-
He's admitted
but
that.
I-
Tiffany,
Also-
this is not that mysterious of a case. Really isn't. The equity is someplace. You have to find it.
Well, my question is for Mr. Montano. Was it ever discussed when you moved in that when you do move out, that you would be able to repair things yourself? Was that ever an option from Mrs.
Well,
Heriot?
I mean, as knowing what the law is, I mean, I do have that ability to should be able to make those repairs prior to moving out.
What does that mean?
It says California law basically states at the time of move out that I should be allowed to make any repairs prior to actually physically
You know what's
turning
the
over the lease.
craziest thing about this case for me?
What?
How are you going to live there with the rapport that you have with the landlord? Plus, she's a nice lady. Her husband is professional. I don't understand what you're doing.
Well, I mean, it's a great apartment, but
Well, why don't
we're
you just
talking about
work it out
blinds.
with her and say, look, next month's rent I'm withholding because you owe me $700 some odd. Why don't you try that?
Well,
Instead of
I
coming
could
to
have done
court
that.
here.
I could have done
But
that.
It's two separate. It's two separate.
What were you
Contract.
amenable to? I'm sorry, jurors, but I just got carried away with
Well,
something.
we never talked about it. I mean, he ignored all my letters, all my communications. The next thing
Next thing you know, you get
I'm
sued.
getting sued, right?
I have communicated with her many times. I made a demand letter. The first communication I received, as I said, was May 21st, you know? And all that time, we've talked many times over the phone. You never called me once, you know? I said I'd be more than happy to do the repairs. I only live right downstairs.
Right,
There's
but,
no reason
but your
why I couldn't have
repairs,
done
all
that.
right. What about the repairs? There was nothing wrong with the refrigerator. All of a sudden, there's screws in every single shelf because he wanted to reinforce.
Yeah, it was the whole refrigerator.
We've got the issue right where we want it. There's no question about that. We've got it. It's not that difficult of a case. The issues are
geniuses. We're geniuses.
Well, I feel that you have a broad range of abilities, all of you, and I feel together, if you reason with one another, you'll come up with a unanimous verdict that speaks the truth. So, jurors, I'm going to put you under the able guidance and supervision of Sergeant Dennehy right now to deliberate. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Coming up, the tenant wants his deposit back. The landlord says that ain't happening. It's up to the celebrities when Jury Duty returns. Welcome back to Jury Duty. Justice that's due at the beginning of the month.
Bad at opening Christmas gifts, can you tell?
Right, well, the
doesn't
post
want-
office would leave a notice for him, right?
Yes.
Okay.
You know, normally, sight unseen, I would
Yes.
like to root against the landlords. I've had nothing but trouble with landlords in my life. She seemed very nice, and she seemed very like a good person, and I want to know what's her angle.
Look, she said this nice letter to him.
I know, so that makes me suspicious that she's a nice landlord.
You're
But
going to get mad at me.
Why is that?
I'm a landlord.
Now, you see, that's why I shouldn't generalize.
I own 3 different apartments.
Yeah, but if I knew that Dick Van Patton was my landlord, that'd be different. There'd be a certain level of respect.
Yeah.
No, that's right. You can't generalize. But I'm a renter.
Right.
As a renter,
Well, that's why we're a good combination.
as a landlord, would you paint the apartment and then charge the person for it, or do you paint that as a normal
No,
course?
I paint the apartments every couple of years, and I do not charge the tenants. That's part of the deal.
Yeah, well, maybe you could go into business with Ms. Heriot, take over her operation. It seems that she's being, there seems to be a part of it that she's
What?
for normal, she's charging for normal things that should be done to the apartment, just trying to charge him for it, in a way, right? Except for the blinds, which he admitted.
Nick, what do you estimate that you owe? If
I would
anything?
say $100 for the broken blinds.
Really?
Yes.
For the blinds, I mean, like here we have the kitchen, wall covered with grease and oily residue. It's a kitchen. I mean,
Yeah.
that to me, if I was a landlord, I'm going to expect to go in and clean up after people's mess.
Yeah.
You can't patrol people how their living standards. I mean, to some degree, you expect stuff like this. But you also have a cleaning crew that usually comes in. You say, I will have a cleaning crew. And that's what they pay the deposit for, right?
Is that what, you take the cleaning crew price out of the security deposit?
No.
It should be for anything unusual.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
No, I would pay that.
There's 2 things. I think one thing is that I don't know why he didn't pick up his stuff, his letters, like we were talking about. But I also feel like it seems like she's
nitpicking
overcharging.
a little bit.
Right. So you think she's being fair?
He says there were no damages. She says it was tore up from the floor up. The celebrities announce the winner when Jury Duty returns. You're watching Jury Duty. Don't even try getting out of it.
Well, jurors, what say you? That's an old expression meaning, have you reached a verdict in this case?
Yes, Your Honor.
A unanimous verdict.
We have a
You
unanimous
really have
verdict.
a unanimous
3-0.
With all those exhibits, all the averments, all the testimony, photographs, bills, items, Mr. Van Patton, thank you for giving it to the good sergeant. How could you come up with a unanimous verdict?
We're able to see all things at once, and we are able to weigh, and then we did rock, paper, scissors.
Oh, good. That's all right.
Pretty
I
much.
like that. Do you think I ought to disclose what the verdict is?
Yes.
I think you should.
Yeah,
I think that would be should be your job.
In the very important case of Montano versus Heriot, which is important, the jury has reached a unanimous verdict. So if it's unanimous, I don't have to decide the case. Let's see what they've come up with. In the case of Montano versus Heriot, they have found for you, Nick. The jury has found for you, not for $1,440. No, sirree, Bob. But they have found for you for $500. They've given you $500 of, they were holding back $700 some odd dollars, meaning the landlords. They have found for you $500. I think much of the damages that you ascribe to the plaintiff, Miss Heriot, is really more wear and tear. Somebody lives in an apartment, it suffers some normal wear and tear, so certainly a landlord has to expend funds to repair, refurbish, burnish, and polish up the place for the new tenant. So they're giving you $500, not $1,400. So put that in your pipe and smoke it. The jury has spoken. We are adjourned.
The jury has awarded $500 to the plaintiff, Nick Montano. He originally sought over $1,400.
I don't think in his heart Mr. Montano really felt that he deserved $1,400. I think $500 was more like it, and I think he really thinks that.
I've never been a landlord before, but I do know the wear and tear of daily living. So I think that we came to a fair conclusion.
I think she was charging him for stuff she should have covered herself. The apartment was obviously several thousand years old, but he went over the top by avoiding the post office, so we split the baby down the middle. It wasn't the baby, but that's the analogy I'm using.
Today's show has been brought to you by From Croton, this lady's solid stainless steel watch with genuine ceramic dial and bracelet links is one of today's hottest looks. Croton, crafting fine watches since 1878.